All right, everybody, let's get ready and board the Korean pain train because this was very painful to watch. I have to be that blunt and honest with you guys. What went wrong for Naventic? J-Ho, you got to help me out on that.
You know, it didn't look that bad early. They missed a couple of small things. There was a few moments to where it seemed like if they had landed like the right thing that they could have made it happen. There were some early picks. They paid for a couple. And then things started to get out of control. It seemed like they started reaching a little bit, and then that's when MVP Black capitalized.
I mean, I'll be honest, I can never support Toronto on a wave clear map like that. Like, I genuinely, the only thing that I can think of, the thought process Naventic has, is that they just don't have the confidence for this matchup. The Murden Toronto is a common strategy that sometimes can get a win, and then they just move on to the next series and then hopefully take it in like the deciders. But that was, even when it came to the draft, not only the play, the coordination, everything else, it just didn't seem like it was even them at their last regional.
Something you've got to consider as well is it is Tomb of the Spider Queen. As you say, wave clear is very, very important or whatever. But the thing is, they didn't really have control over the turning points. They got that early. They were okay early. They got some kills here and there, but they didn't have control of the turning points at any point in time, really, during that game, which then, once the first web weavers came, there were then picks during that moment, and the outer wall of forts fell very, very quickly.
All right, J-Hal, let's actually take let's move on to the first replay and let's see how to dismantle an A team.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're going to see is execution. Let's go ahead and pause it right here and let's put this into scenario right at 16-12, and that's where it's a bad spot. But at the same time, we look at the minimap, they had just captured the giant camp and used the dropship. Now, let's go ahead and run this forward. Now, Naventic realizes you're going to see an owl come out at the top, basically sniff out this boss, and that's how it's going to go. Now, here is where things really start to get troublesome. Let's go ahead and pause it real quick one more time. We have Zuna very far deep. The rest of the team kind of flanked around. But here's where we're going to see MVP Black start to focus fire, and we're going to go ahead and roll this. Let's go ahead and roll it slowly, and you're going to see Zuna and Fan very, very deep trying to get in. Now, they're isolated. Let's pause it. Now, this is where things get real fun because Zuna in very deep, Fan in very deep, and they realize that he's gone. So instantly, we're going to see here in just a second, let's roll it forward, as we're going to see ETC goes ahead. He's going to slide in. Out comes the party. 4-person mosh pit, the Poison Nova is out, and that's the execution. They were able to use the drop ship to go to the top. They were able to make the right calls, rotate over, and get the kills. I mean, it was just beautiful play, and you can see they continue to follow up. They don't stop with one, guys. They continue in pressure, and you can see as Naventic starts to go down here, just a great executed play there.
All right, so there were many things that didn't go as planned for Naventic here. But Dredd, can you maybe give them a hint or give us a hint? What should they change in their playstyle? What is typical Naventic? What do they have to now get going?
I mean, they just have to be aggressive and stick together. Even in that team fight specifically, they used the owl. They know that they weren't starting the boss. They're down 2 Talonteers at that point. And Murden still engaging without Avatar. Toronto's Lunar Flare was burnt onto not the kill target that the Murden stun went onto. Sonya was a couple of seconds late. Like, this lack of coordination is exactly what they have to clean up. Even if their comp isn't quite there, they have to work together.
All right, we can, sorry James, but we can actually quickly move on to replay number 2 because we want to see more of the highlights from this very first game.
Execution is the name of the game for MVP Black, and it is flawless execution because you're going to see now, here's a fight. Now let's go ahead and pause it. We're going to see, this is the part to where we see Naventic, they feel that they have to force a fight. They realize the web weavers are pushing on their door, but here is where the Sunder comes in, and watch the follow-up. Let's go ahead and run this forward. The Sunder's going to come in and split this. Instantly, you're going to see this gets absolutely deleted. Just the follow-up execution, you already see the Bone Prison going down onto Fan. The team for Naventic entirely split in 2 different areas, and MVP capitalizing once again. It's flawless execution without hesitation, and I think that's what I love most about watching this entire game from MVP Black.
Yeah, their teamwork is just insane. Always on the same page there. Then really Naventic needs to make sure that they get a little bit closer to it. Otherwise, I fear the next game will be, again, another 3-level lead.
I was surprised in the end that it was an auto-attack Tyrande. Like, going in, normally it's very difficult to actually get into good positions to where that's going to work. You need your front line to stay very, very stable for an auto-attack Tyrande to eventually work out. But I would like to see her numbers during that game because I can only imagine they fell subpar of a normal assassin role for that kind of position.
All right, so the cards are going to be shuffled anew in this next game, of course. The map is going to be Infernal Shrines here for you guys. However, Naventic needs to pull out more aces up their sleeves. They have to unleash their real weapons, because if they continue like this, I fear for the second game to be over as quickly as the first one.
I mean, when you think that Tomb of the Spider Queen was the map that Naventic chose,
Right,
they were the ones who
right.
banned the Rhaegar and then panicked in the second half of the minute the second ban phase went out, the Tyrande Malfurion, complete panic. I can only expect that when it's a map that wasn't of their selection, it's going to be identical.
I think going into this next draft, you can't put MVP Black in a support choke.
Yeah.
Look at how we've seen this draft go. Look at the first group stage as well. Don't try it. Just do something else against them, because they could easily run Morales on this map and then still make it work, and you would be in a bad spot. Imagine Medevac on this map when you're trying to get for good rotations. It would work fine in their hands if they wanted.
One of the more interesting things is that when we were studying MVP Black just a few weeks ago, their entire strategy was to choke out supports against their competition.
Yeah.
And then that seems like what Naventic tried to do, except it backfired, as you just said, and it was a lot of trouble for him.
All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready for draft number 2, and immediately we see that Murden ban coming out in Illidan on the side of MVP Black, and the Falstad pick first. You raised your hand, Dread.
Oh, so MVP Black typically in this position actually just takes Tassadar and Sonya. They've actually made minor adjustments in the grand finals versus Tempest specifically, and Zul is still an option left up here, and I do expect them to take some version of that, but now they've been prioritizing Kill Thos higher than almost every other hero in the game, and it's a map that excels with him as well.
And one thing that MVP Blackford did for a long time was, well, there we go.
They're just going to take it all day.
They used to ban out Falstad almost all the time because they didn't want their opponents to have the potential of dictating when and where a fight could occur. That's one feather in the cap, no pun intended, for Naventic here, going against this, but still, as you say, MVP Black have already got their choice picks.
The biggest thing that we've seen all weekend long is the ETC Kael'thas combo. It is absolutely terrifying, and we saw it time and time again just last game, and they allowed it through here at the very beginning.
Yeah, and what makes it even scarier, as you guys mentioned, is there is no certain support that MVP Black needs in order to make this combo work. They can go with Morales, Uther, Karazim, you name it, Meriday's got it.
Yeah, and Naventic now needs to get their other pick. They go with the Greymane over the Tassadar that they were hovering before. Tassadar is great to pair with the Sonya, also helps when it comes to the Shrine. So with Falstad, I feel like Naventic already has a far better comp just because MVP is so good at choosing the fights that they want, and with the Gust, they're going to have a better opportunity to select those. But they need to be worrying about how do we win a Shrine here, because right now MVP has a lot going for them.
I mean, the biggest thing I think that, do we see support bans here? If so, I worry for Naventic and the fact that what can they pick up? Now, here's the problem. If there's no Rhaegar Uther on the board and they opt to go Karazim this time around, think about Karazim and the Living Bomb coming out from Kael'thas. He has to go in, he also has to go out. So you have to time your heals and be very strategic, else you're going to be spreading a lot of that damage.
That's always one of the biggest dangers, of course. If you run against the KT, the more melee you pack into your team composition, the riskier. And as you mentioned, a Karazim, as well as an Uther, by the way, who also has struggles against all of that AoE damage coming in. There's not many healing options left for Team Naventic here.
The thing is I don't mind MVP Black just turning around the reverse and choking out support because that, it worked counterintuitively against Naventic there in the previous game, and now here, I mean, if this was a Rhaegar ban, they would be in the same situation. Kerrigan. Oh, well, we all know about her power on this map.
So then MVP is going to move into the Rhaegar. No surprise. Thrall, Thrall could be I think they can wait on that pick specifically, but also MVP likes to hide their last pick whenever they can, if they have kind of a secret character to be able to pull out in this.
There we go. And so here's the thing. They banned Uther twice in a row. Is it a target ban against Kemba because it's his favorite support, or is it just in general like banning stuff away that Naventic could work with?
They love banning supports.
It's a really complex thing. So in the first game specifically, when they ban out the Rhaegar, if you ban out the Uther, then there's no wave clear left up on the game with how much that MVP had. So by denying it, it forced them into the mouth to try and make up for it. This game specifically, with them having the ban pick after the ban rotation, it only complements them to get a support choke.
Can't believe Zul comes in this late. If it's going to come down, like, it's so strong, so strong. Great wave clear. Even on the Shrines, it's good. The Sonya's in there, Greymane's in there. He's very, very
Attacks
powerful
pretty slow
against
from
them.
Cursed Strikes. There's just so much potential in this hero, I agree.
Yeah.
This is tough because this is where Sylvanas a lot of times comes in to try and contend with that. You get a lot of value out of the Punisher that's going to be coming out. But with Zul on there, Zul's one of the more highly contested heroes. I'm actually surprised he made it this far. But what MVP Black picked up early, I think it's setting up beautifully for them right now.
Yeah, and then, I mean, they have the opportunity to move into a lot of picks for their last one. They don't have to stop, like, at all with their composition. They are not limited to anything. Meanwhile, Naventic trying to make up for their lack of wave clear, getting the Johanna.
I think they're pushing, I mean, MVP Black here, they could pick Tychus last and I would be super happy with their position in this. Johanna Karazim in the end, like...
We've seen this in the European
Arthas.
regionals a little bit.
I was thinking it was going to be a Tyrael, not an Arthas. So
right.
I like it.
Are we going to see Falling Sword leap, guys? Is that a thing?
No. I don't think I've ever seen NA do it. I guess you might be able to see it. If you do, I'd be very surprised, especially against the beef that exists on the side of MVP. Kael'Thas is the only one vulnerable. He will have mana addicts because it's a small map, and he's able to get the globes very, very quickly. I don't think there's any way. Even if they went for it, it's not a bright choice.
It's tough overall. I mean, Greymane is used to diving in. Sonya used to diving in. Zul gets the lockdown. Kael'Thas gets the lockdown. ETC gets the lockdown. Arthas. I mean, it doesn't matter who's going in. They're in trouble the minute they decide, hey, let's engage. It's going to look pretty bad, and I'm actually really worried for Naventic right now.
I feel like it's a lot of what we saw in the last game. Wave Clear being absurdly dominant. Naventic not prioritizing it at all, giving MVP exactly what they've been going for the entire tournament.
As dire as Game 1 looked for Naventic, however, do we have to say that at least this time they came up with a stronger draft than they did before, or is it once again looking very on one-sided on paper?
I would say it's better than the previous draft, but I think I don't even like their first ban on Muradin. I think he's not a tank that excels as much on this map compared to other warriors. And then I would have much rather a Kael'Thas ban because that's a big thorn in their side right now.
Why don't you keep on talking, James, and let us know who your winner is going to be for game number 2?
I have to stick to my guns here and go career all the way. Naventic is going to have a hard time. It's going to be MVP Black.
Mr. Dread?
Oh, I made a second one.
You made a second one. Can you believe it?
I'm going with MVP Black.
All right, Jay, are you still the last defender?
I can't. I want to, but it's got to be MVP Black.
All right, and how could I disagree with these guys? I mean, after seeing that very first game, I just got to give it to MVP Black. And once again, guys, I think our casters are eagerly awaiting our signal, so let's throw it over to Gilly and Wolf once again.
Thank you very much, Kendrick, and the guys over there at the panel. That draft for MVP Black was pretty much as typical as it gets, Gilly, and they got everything they wanted.
Everything they wanted. I'm really excited about the Arthas, too. That's the thing that I'm really looking forward to. But, man, they have so many ways to slow attack speed if they build into that with Arthas, and then Zul, of course, too. Greymane and Sonya are going to have a tough time.
Well, let's go ahead and announce these players. Meriday is on Rhaegar, Sake on Kael'Thas, Kyocha on Zul, Rich on Arthas, and Sign is yet again on ETC.
And in the red for Team Naventic, we'll have Greymane played by Big Impact, Falstad played by Zuna, McIntyre will be playing Johanna, Fan will be playing Sonya, and Karazim played by Kenma.
And I feel like we're actually seeing a little bit of fan service here by MVP Black, a little bit of messing around with the final pick on Arthas. Let's see how this one plays out. But I think it is due to somewhat of the melee comp that we see from Naventic, but also it's just, look at this, by the way, over here next to the towers, dancing and doing some B-stepping. I think it's also Rich doesn't want to show that he doesn't want to make anyone think that he's so reliant upon Thrall, which is something that a lot of teams do look at for his hero pool, saying, oh, okay, he has to play Thrall. No, he's showing you a wider hero pool here.
Well, we'll see how they're able to make it work once we get into those shrine fights. But for now, the teams are going to start their rotations. And with Zul, of course, MVP Black is going to get the jump on it. That allows Sign to hang out in the bushes, wait for a good power slide. And of course, the follow-up from Sake will likely be there with the gravity lapse. But they're already locking people down with Bone Prison too.
Yeah, it looks like they don't want to commit too hard to that one, but they can always punish a move forward here. Look at this, Sign in the position. Okay, McIntyre is very aware of this. We'll check it. It's a pretty obvious move here. Sake gonna back off, and Sign just gonna kind of help body block and slow this. Here comes Kyocha, though.
That continues to slow down, and they've actually separated McIntyre from the rest of the team. Big Impact getting chased down. Meriday is going to jump on him with a Pharaoh Lunge, but he is safe thanks to being close to his gate. But that's just the name of the game, is the aggression that we see from them is to slow down Naventic from rotating back and forth between these lanes so that they can make sure to start burning down the tower's ammos faster.
This is going to be such a really tough game for Naventic because they're going to be losing on every front in the early game because they can't pressure. They can win the top lane. That's it. Basically, they can't pressure. They're always going to kind of be on the defensive. And with that, they're never going to be able to control the shrines.
That's Iron Skin pretty early, but it does mean that Sign can't power slide and face melt McIntyre into the team. We saw Falstad try to fly up and maybe help get a pick onto Arthas, so since they knew that top lane is really where they're going to have power, but Arthas playing too safe for that. So now the first shrine phase about to start.
I mean, as you guys can see here, the lanes being pushed by Zul's skeletons is a big problem. Fan does get, rooted there and stunned for just a moment. Zuna comes up to get the pressure off. But the shrine is active now, as you mentioned, and we haven't seen them start to take it yet because they're looking to get a pick first, or at least push the lanes. McIntyre does use his Iron Skin here. He's very low on mana.
All right, they're putting on some good damage. A big Howling Blast. It's 3 members of Team Naventic. But they have started the shrines, and for now, Naventic has the positional advantage with this. MVP Black going to go back, maybe use those healing wells, tap and heal back up so they can come back in. Because these first shrines take so long to clear out, they have plenty of time to heal up and get back into this.
That Howling Blast was incredible, and this is what Black is going to try to do with this comp, is always funnel people into these choke points where they can't escape. Fan is going to be the target here this time, taking a lot of damage, but Sake is caught. Nice positioning by Zuna to catch him there. Fan looks like he will still go down, and Rich out of position yet again. I think he's going to die here. There's no way out.
Biggie's going into Worgen form to ensure that that is not the case, and they will get a 2-for-1. Fan went down, but he knew that he was slowed down by the Frozen Tempest. We just turned around and tried to put whatever damage he could on Arthas to allow his team to finish him off.
And they didn't respect Zuna's positioning there as well. He did so much extra damage, and this is going to be a 1 shrine here for Naventic, taking an early lead. And this is just not what I expected. I expected Black to be using the pressure that they have with Zul to keep the lanes pushed, to keep the pressure off so they could actually slowly take the shrine based on lane pressure. But instead, they're trying to funnel Naventic into these choke points, use Howling Blast, Power Slide, and Gravity Lapse to get multiple stuns, and Naventic outpositioned them there.
All right, they have so much lockdown though, so it'll always be a concern for Naventic. But for now, this Infernal has been won, and it's going to start to push into the bottom. But of course, it is the first Punisher, so it will go down very quickly. Naventic's already spread out back into the lanes, making sure they maximize this time for lane soak, but they do get the towers, and they have a little bit of an experience lead.
Yeah, they're about to have 7, which is obviously the big deal here. They're going to, for a very brief period of time, have that extra talent advantage. And let's see how Black decides to approach this next phase of the game. Obviously, they still do have Kyocha to push these lanes, but they didn't really prioritize it as much as I was expecting them to do. They were looking for picks instead.
Kenma's picked up the healing ward, which will help them out a lot when it comes to healing, just sitting in those shrines, since you are just sitting in a stable spot, as long as he can make sure to position that so he can't get easily taken out by MVP. And then one other one, Biting Cold, more damage from Frozen Tempest for Arthas. Of course, since he is the second warrior, he wants to be all about damage, and I think likely we'll see him continue those Frozen Tempest talents later on.
He even grabbed Rune Tap here for obvious reasons. It's going to get a lot more damage done that way. Oh no, Kenma does get caught here. That dash comes a bit too late, not far away enough, and he will be picked here in the bot lane. And while they do grab the Mercs in the top, so at least with the Shaman pushing top, they will be able to relieve some of the pressure of having one man down. Zuna was hoping he was going to go back here. Looks like he's actually just going to go ahead and tap and not be greedy.
But with getting those Shaman earlier on, that does mean that MVP Black have the potential to time theirs more with the objective when the next Temple phase starts. But Naventic might be trying to get something done with this right now. They have 2 members up at the top along with those Shaman. If they can maybe start to burn down the ammo, take out the towers, maybe even get a kill on Rich here.
Oh, Rich is baiting this pretty hard here. Zuna is going to get killed, and this is actually going to be a double kill as well. Fan rooted, stunned. There goes the Scythe as well. He's trying to whirlwind his way out, but look, there's another Howling Blast, the Power Slide, and that's going to be 2 kills here already.
Howling Blast timing was so good. There's a Power Slide to finish, take out Sonya, and just in time too, as the shrine is about to activate.
When you have 2 heroes that have great stuns like this, they're basically free stuns. You can't go past the midpoint in a lane when you're showing 2 in bot dealing with impalers, or you're going to get punished. Rich baited that so hard, and now MVP Black takes an EXP lead and is looking to get 10 for this shrine.
Well, but if they lose Kyocha here, that would be a problem. He's going to get blinded, but will get away, and now Iron Skin is being popped from Johanna. But they have at least gotten and ready for the next shrine phase. Unfortunately for them, there's a little bit of time where they're not going to have heroic abilities as long as they can't find a pick that they've been trying to get.
Now, Fan is back now, so Black can't be as aggressive as they were being before, but Rich is just soloing the shrine. This is something they do on this map when it's a 4v4 situation. They just send Rich, whether on Sonya or Arthas, or even sometimes Thrall, up alone to take the shrine. And he already gets half of the skeletons or the monsters killed here. Now they can just kind of sit back and relax and try to force a fight with their 10s.
It's been so good for them to do this, and that is going to be trouble. Zuna barrel rolls away, but Living Bomb will take him down.
Kenma taking a lot of damage here as well, and this looks like it's just going to be a free shrine for Naventic, for Black. If Naventic tries to deny this, it's just too risky. They finally have their heroics, but they're going to have to let it go. I think the better option is to split and soak and get EXP and then get ready to defend this Punisher that's going to come down their lane. It's the Frozen Punisher.
It was played so well by MVP. They didn't quite have 10, but the threat was there. It was like, they're about to get heroic abilities, and so they put Rich up there, but the rest were just zoning. They still got a kill right before Naventic were about to get their own heroic abilities, and now they have a much wider lead to do something with this Punisher.
Yep. This is a little bit different than what Black did with the Web Weavers on the previous map. They're actually 4-manning the top while leaving Zul to 2-man because he can do that on this map. Big roots going down here. Kenma does get rooted, and they're just going to kind of force this Punisher forward, not going to commit to the fight. Gust is available. They know that. They don't want to get themselves caught.
They have Gust available, and Kenma went for 7-sided strike. So if they can zone somebody away from the rest of the team, they can pretty quickly burn them down. But unfortunately for Naventic, they're losing a fort. It's the first fort of the game, and that's going to give even more experience to MVP Black. And right around the same time as we had in the last game, they're just starting to way pull ahead.
Kyocha is soaking 2 lanes. He just cleared the mid lane, now he's cleared the bot lane, and he's going to take away all the ammo of this as well. So this 4-man is so powerful. Okay, here comes Zuna. Can he get a good Gust here? They're looking for the engage. There's the Gust. 2 members are isolated here. There's the 7-side strike as well.
Oh, but Sake with a huge gravity lapse, and Big Impact is just taken out so fast. Ancestral Healing keeping everybody nice and healthy for MVP Black, and they're going to push back Team Naventic. Howling Blast does hit, but a beautiful mosh pit from Sign right at the gate, followed up by Poison Nova, and 2 more kills so quickly.
McIntyre may go down here as well. Mariday's diving for it under the keep. Zuna tries to protect him, but it's him who will die. McIntyre tosses the Blessed Shield, but it is wasted. I don't think he was going to die there, but Zuna died regardless. There's 3 dead, 9 kills to 2, and yet another fort is killed here just before the 9-minute mark by MVP Black.
That was very nearly a team wipe. Let's check out what exactly went wrong, and it all was this amazing positioning from Sign. With the mosh pit right at the gate, it was zoning as much as locking people down, being able to escape, and then the Poison Nova follow-up, keeping that until that moment was just such amazing execution.
I think a lot of people wrongly place a lot of emphasis on MVP Black's drafting skills is the reason why they are so good, because when you look at these fights where even you had a 2-man isolation, you also have Palm and Blessed Shield available, MVP Black makes a fight that looks like it's about to go horribly wrong for them into an amazing win for them because they're so coordinated. They take these small losses and cut them and turn the fight around, turn it on its head. They were, of course, ahead in levels. They were ahead in talents there as well. And there's no fear in moments like this. There's no choke. Okay, 2 members got gusted. We can handle this.
Yeah, the patience to keep those heroic abilities until that moment, knowing that, hey, eventually we're going to do damage, they're going to run back. That's when we hit them with everything we've got, and we get a way better fight than what we might have otherwise if they had moshed out in the open.
Well, the Shrine is active here with all forts down for Naventic. This is pretty annoying. They're trying to counter push this top lane. I'm going to get the wall down here. And you know what? If they trade this, even with a Shaman camp here, Black's gonna be like, well, we get a keep, and we're on the Shrine. So there needs to be a rotation down. Naventic is sending, all of their entire team down here to try to deal with Kyocha. Oh, he dodges Vision here as well. And don't forget, Rich is nearby. There's the Blessed Shield. They do just isolate and kill him.
Yeah, that was really good. They used 2 heroics, but of course they do get a kill. Wrath of the Berserker was also popped, but of course she can start to use that to try to take down these skeletal minions. And you see Naventic's Kenma and McIntyre just trying to zone the rest of MVP Black to allow their team to catch up in the monsters at the Shrine.
They just need to stay together. They do not want to send too many off the Shrine. Even sending McIntyre alone here is going to get punished. And he does use this Iron Skin to escape there, but so much damage done. Down goes the Phoenix to help zone. Both the mid lane and the bot lane are being pushed by Mercs right now towards those keeps, and here's level 16.
And Kael'thas is just so annoying to deal with on these Shrines. McIntyre going to be the first death on the side of Team Naventic. They're still just trying to throw everything they have at minions, but if they can't take them out, Sake will just come in with these giant flame strikes and bring down more defenders, but we're going to get into a fight as Biggie's going to drop.
Van's going to drop as well, and Zuna, can he get the last of the minions? He will not. 3 left required here. Kenma's up in the front as well. He's fighting Mariday 1v1. He goes down, and this is looking like it's going to be a team wipe, and they didn't even get the Punisher. That's what they're looking for this side. Okay, we're going to lose this fight. We had a huge lead in the minions. Let's grab the Punisher and cut our losses, but no, they got wiped, and they didn't get the Punisher, and Mercs are pushing mid, Mercs are pushing bot, 14 kills to 3. MVP Black looking so dominant here in this second game.
And that earlier trade out where they let Naventic have their top floor equaled taking out a tower and gate here on bottom, and that's where the Punisher is pushing. They're going to bring down this tower, and that means no baiting it over the gate. It's going to go straight onto the fort.
Yeah, this is looking really nasty. Don't forget, still no one dealing with those Mercs in the mid lane. Sign power slides in here, starting to initiate the fight. McIntyre taking a ton of damage, and not only the talent tier down, but the scaling is a big problem, and the anti-surge there with the Gust and the 7-sided strike. This could just simply be game, Gilly.
Yeah, he was using 7-sided strike just to try to stay alive, but the Gust is now down. There's no help. Falstad just dropped. He's melted. Poison Nova's out. Look how everyone is slowed. That's a second kill.
And there you go, the keep does go down, so the core is no longer protected. They did bait the Punisher into the second keep here, but look, McIntyre is going to go down, and that will be a 5-man. They're just going to go directly for the core here. And yet again, a very one-sided game by MVP Black. They beat Naventic in the group stage in Korea at the Spring Global Championships, and yet again here, now in Sweden at our Summer Championship, they take the 2-0 in the first game of Group B.
19 kills to 3 in that second game. And that means that MVP Black gets to go on to the winners match. But Naventic is not out yet. They'll drop to the losers match of this group. But since we're playing out all of this group today, we will know by the end which two teams get to move on to the semifinals. And it's looking rough for Naventic, but amazing for MVP Black.
Naventic did not look weak in those games. Black looked strong. They have always said in their interviews for this entire tournament, they're like 20%, 30%, 40%. That wasn't 100%. I cast these guys at the OGN Super League. That's how they qualified for this tournament. They're still not 100%, but they knew how to take those fights. And this has kind of been a historic thing in esports. The Korean teams, once they become the best, they stay the best for a long time. And Black, yeah, they lost the OGN tournament, but they want to defend their title here going into the second global championship, which is a larger tournament, a world stage. They've traveled all the way to Sweden. And you can see these guys are close friends. Naventic talking to them in the chat beforehand, being very friendly. And like you said, they do emulate the play of MVP Black a lot of the time. But Black, just the better team here, takes the easy 2-0.
MVP Black has talked about how they've been trying to find their motivation again. They played 2 long tournaments during the summer season. Not only their own qualifier, their own regional, but playing over in Gold League 2 for the Chinese regional, which would make anyone as stressful and burned out and want to find their love of the game again. And I think winning a global championship might do just that. And they're looking so strong.
They were saying they were going to maybe do some role swapping. Not so much. They're sticking to their guns. They've shown different heroes. They're playing a little bit different of a style than they've shown before. But I think when we get later on in the tournament, they're going to stick with their guns of how they played in Korea. But before we get too deep on this, guys, let's go back over to Kendrick and the panel to take a look at those replays.
Thank you very much, Wolf. It looks like New Jerseys are not enough to take down MVP Black. Naventic needs to invent themselves for the second games. Otherwise, the future doesn't really look as bright as them. Now, although they drafted a little bit more competitively, we might want to say, they still didn't make it, J-Ho. What was the reason why it didn't go as smoothly this time?
I think the general consensus amongst us up here is the fact that they did not draft as well as MVP Black, and MVP Black outdrafted them. The other thing is execution once again. I mean, MVP Black is on the top of their game, and it's something that we saw time and time again, Dredd. It was just beautiful gameplay from MVP Black this entire time.
Yeah, I felt like, again, though, that Naventic was constantly on different pages when it came to how they were going to approach team fights. I feel like, without a doubt, they were demoralized before going into this matchup.
I don't know if we need to show replays, because it felt like I watched a replay of the first match in the second one. It was like, we got some picks early on, great stuff. Oh, we got 3 or 4 kills. All right, we're never getting any again, because MVP Black is just out-positioning us, out-rotating us, and out-flanking us. That was just the entire story of what we saw.
Yeah, nevertheless, though, we are going to take a look at replays. Though, J-How, try your best.
Yeah, well, as soon as we start this, I want to go ahead and pause it and point out one thing in particular. Very different strategies. 10 versus 9 right here. Okay, and you can see they're trying to position. They also had Sonya down in the bottom soaking. The problem is that MVP Black recognizes this, and they make no hesitation. You're going to see the follow-up. Zuna and Kenma very out of position. We'll go ahead and roll this forward. And the minute they realize this, they're like, wait a minute, guys. Let's go ahead and force the action. Sign comes in on the backside, uses the face melt, the power slide in. This is the follow-up we talked about time and time again. At this point, it's too little too late. There's the Phoenix. I don't even know if it's needed. The rotation from MVP Black once again. Zuna, of course, course, is going to get deleted up in the top. That's just not going to be enough to survive. And it was time and time again, we see these rotations from MVP Black. No hesitation is the beauty of their play. They recognize it together. They go in together. Their positioning is on point. I mean, it was just flat out, you can't ask for much better play than that.
No, I mean, everything just seems, like I said, they seem always on the same page. They never stop working together. Their follow-up is always there, and I think that's why we see them as so in love kind of in this tournament specifically with the ETC Kel'Thas.
Yeah.
It's just it's the 1-2 punch over and over again. You get the gravity labs, the bonus damage. Phoenix comes out, and they have a lot of CC and tools to work with on every map.
It's the more efficient Muradin Tyrande of old because it has so much punch behind it. Yeah, Tyrande, she had a Hunter's Mark or whatever, but realistically,
KT's got Gravity Crush, man.
KT hurts. Let's put it that way.
Right, and we're ready for replay number 2, and Jay Howard is going to talk you guys through it.
This is a little bit later in the game, and this is actually a moment to where we see that Naventic had an advantage. We see that Zul was deleted, and now you can see over here, stuck out again, Johanna, she's going to try and rotate up to the back, while the rest of the team is going to be circling around the bottom, continuing to try and clear up these minions. The problem is McIntyre is going to come over here and be completely isolated. They ignore everything that's going on here, rotate up, take down McIntyre, and that was kind of the beginning of the end. There's the power slide to help secure the kill. Mighty Gust coming in a little bit too late, but they completely ignored the objective, rotated up, even that, and of course they have the talent tier advantage. As you can see, the rotation down is basically going to finish off the rest of the members as Naventic had a disadvantage, and time again, down goes Biggie. I mean, just the entire thing, they went in so deep trying to get the objective and weren't able to secure that, James.
I mean, one of the best linchpins for that kind of composition is like you have Falstad, you have the potential to have Gust, which is a big playmaker, and every single time it came out, it didn't really feel like a big playmaker, right?
Yeah. But we're now being joined by MVP's team captain, Sake. Welcome to the panel, and congratulations on your victory over Team Naventic. Now, Sake, Team Naventic, they are considered to be NA's strongest weapon, NA's strongest team. Did you think it would be so easy to overcome them?
네, 사케 선수 일단 승리 축하드리고요. 그 나벤틱이 지금 북미 1번 시드로 와 있는데 그 너무 좀 쉽게 이기신 감인데 그 이긴 승리에 대한 소감 간단하게 말씀드릴게요. 일단 목표인 4강에 한 발짝 더 올라간 것 같아서 기분 좋고요. 일단 나벤틱이 일단 개인적인 실력으로는 안 부족하다고 생각해요. 근데 뱀픽적인 부분에서 약간 너무 올드한 뱀픽을 사용해가지고 요즘 최근 메타에 좀 많이 못 따라오는 그런 뱀픽이어서 저희가 오늘 쉽게 이긴 거라 생각해요. So Naventic isn't a bad team in terms of individual skills, but they're in terms of picks and bans, they're actually kind of falling behind the meta. So that's why we were able to beat them pretty handily.
All right. Talking about picks and bans here, Sake, you played Lieutenant Morales multiple times during this tournament. Is there a reason why you like this hero, or is it just that Meriday can play any support hero in the game?
네, 이번 대회에서 모랄레스 중위를 좀 많이 썼는데요. 그 모랄레스 중위를 이게 그 상황에 맞아 쓴 건지 그냥 잘해서 쓴 건지 아니면 그냥 메리데이는 그냥 아무 지원과는 할 수 있어서 쓴 건지 물어보고 싶네요. 일단 메리데이가 어느 정도 지원과 폭이 넓어요. 그래가지고 저희가 이제 조건을 줘요. 메리데이 너 카라지 말래 레가를 할래 막 이런 식으로 질문을 주면은 메데가 나 모랄레스 할래 그래가지고 그냥 그렇게 해서 준 거거든요. 그냥 딱. So basically, Meriday has a very wide champion pool, and usually we give him the option of either picking Karazim or Rhaegar, but he just says, I'm just going to play with Lieutenant Morales.
All right, Jayho, you wanted to drop a question there as well?
MVP Black is known to study your drafts and to study a lot of your gameplay. Do you see any of that, or do you feel that they're lacking and maybe need to just try and, I guess, work a little bit harder? I mean, are you aware of that they try and study you the most?
You mean Naventic?
Naventic, I'm sorry. Naventic studies MVP Black. Yeah, sorry.
그 나벤틱이 MVP 블랙에 대해서 엄청 뭐 연구나 뭐 공부를 많이 하는 걸로 알고 있는데 뭐 그거에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요? 일단 저희가 최근에 좀 많이 나태해져서 저희를 보고 공부를 했다면은 정말 잘못된 공부였던 것 같아요. So we haven't been practicing like our best. We rarely even practice before the tournament. So, I mean, if they were learning stuff off of that, then it's probably something wrong. It shouldn't be happening.
All right. So thank you very much, Sake, and good luck on the future road on this tournament, and keep going strong for sure. Now, guys, with the interview being done and the first winner being crowned of this very day, we're going to take a look at the updated bracket for this Group A of the second group stage in the Heroes of the Storm Summer Champions. Of course, MVP Black, they're moving forward to the winners match, whereas Naventic, unfortunately, they are going to drop down to the lower bracket and play in the losers match against either E-Star Gaming or PBA later on. And of course, that is also the next series that we're going to be bringing up to you guys in front of the computer. So China against Taiwan, very exciting matchup there for sure. Is there something that we can expect PBA to bring up to the table, or is E-Star their final destination?
I think E-Star is going to be very tough. Can we make one point? They said they barely practice.
I mean,
they're that good.
I mean, when you have a record as impressive as theirs, I mean, I would come in here with that kind of confidence.
But E-Star versus PBA, this is one of the ones to where I think there's the biggest discrepancy in terms of what our expectations might be versus good and bad. And PBA, they showed a lot of strong points. We talked about it earlier in the day, as well as what they can bring to the table and if they're going to be able to shore up a lot of the things that they might have stumbled upon before, Caleres. We talked about a few of those things a little while ago.
Yeah, they didn't have as much control in terms of like map objectives and things like that against their previous opponents in the group stage. So they're going to have to be very on point against E-Star, who I am very excited for, because this is actually the first time I've been at a LAN whilst E-Star have been playing. So this is the first time for me. I'm thrilled.
And we're now going to take a look at the updated group stage. Of course, for Group A and B, there has a little bit of changes been going on here. There we go. As you can see, MVP Black all the way at the top here, where they belong. Most people would say PBA and E-Star Gaming, they still need to play their first series, whereas Naventic, so far 0-1, but they were not out of this tournament yet. We have to highlight this. NA's Dream are not fully crushed yet, Dread, so hope is not over just yet. But yeah, they have a long road to go, because they need to step up their game, not only individually, but especially, as Sake pointed out, as a team. They have to move on as a team for sure. Now, also, a very important public service announcement that we have to share with you guys. Blizzard is generous enough to actually give you free hero rotations from the 24th until the 27th of course, this month in June. You will be able to play all the heroes for free. So if there's a hero you always wanted to check out, now is your chance. Also, feel free to join the discussion live on Twitter, #HGC. We will be back in a bit. Don't go anywhere.